Good evening, and a very warm welcome to you all. Let us begin tonight's meeting with the singing of hymn number 339. There are none friendless, none afraid, the saving truth who know. Their shining path leads from the shade, and up to light they go. Hymn number 339. The theme of tonight's readings is healing. I shall start with readings from the Bible. 1 Corinthians. There are diversities of gifts, but the same Spirit, and there are differences of administrations, but the same Lord. And there are diversities of operations, but it is the same God which worketh all in all. For as the body is one, and hath many members, and all the members of that one body, being many, are one body, so also is Christ. For by one Spirit are we all baptized into one body, whether we be Jews or Gentiles, whether we be bond or free, and have been all made to drink into one Spirit. Exodus. So Moses brought Israel from the Red Sea, and they went out into the wilderness of Shur, and they went 3 days in the wilderness, and found no water. And when they came to Marah, they could not drink of the waters of Marah, for they were bitter. Therefore the name of it was called Marah. And the people murmured against Moses, saying, What shall we drink? And he cried unto the Lord, and the Lord showed him a tree, which, when he had cast it into the waters were made sweet, and said, If thou wilt diligently hearken to the voice of the Lord, thy God, and will do that which is right in his sight, and will give ear to his commandments, and keep all his statutes, I will put none of these diseases upon thee, which I have brought upon the Egyptians. For I am the Lord that healeth thee. Mark. And when he came to his disciples, he saw a great multitude about them, and the scribes questioning with them. And one of the multitude answered and said, Master, I have brought unto thee my son, which hath a dumb spirit. And wheresoever he taketh him, he teareth him, and he foameth, and gnasheth with his teeth, and pineth away. And I spake to thy disciples, that they should cast him out, and they could not. He answered him and saith, O faithless generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I suffer you? Bring him unto me. And he asked his father, How long is it ago since this came unto him? And he said, Of a child. Jesus said unto him, If thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believeth. And straightway the father of the child cried out and said with tears, Lord, I believe, help thou mine unbelief. When Jesus saw that the people came running together, he rebuked the foul spirit, saying unto him, Thou dumb and deaf spirit, I charge thee, come out of him, and enter no more into him. And the spirit cried, and rent him sore, and came out of him. And he was as one dead, inasmuch that many said, He is dead. But Jesus took him by the hand, and lifted him up, and he arose. Matthew. When Jesus was entered into Capernaum, there came unto him a centurion, beseeching him, and saying, Lord, my servant lieth at home, sick of the palsy, grievously tormented. And Jesus saith unto him, I will come and heal him. The centurion answered and said, Lord, I am not worthy that thou shouldest come under my roof, but speak the word only, and my servant shall be healed. For I am a man under authority, having soldiers unto me. And I say to this man, Go, and he goeth, and to another, Come, and he cometh, and to my servant, Do this, and he doeth it. When Jesus heard it, he marveled, and said to them that followed, Verily I say unto you, I have not found so great faith, no, not in Israel. Then Jesus said unto the centurion, Go thy way, and as thou hast believed, so be it done unto thee. And his servant was healed in the selfsame hour. Acts. A certain man, lame from his mother's womb, was carried, whom they laid daily at the gate of the temple, which is called Beautiful, to ask alms of them that entered into the temple. And Peter, fastening his eyes upon him with John, said, Look upon us. Then Peter said, Silver and gold have I none, but such as I have give I thee. In the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, rise up and walk. And he took him by the right hand and lifted him up. And immediately his feet and ankle bones received strength. And he, leaping up, stood and walked, and entered with them into the temple, walking and leaping and praising God. And all the people saw him walking and praising God. Peter answered unto the people, Ye men of Israel, why marvel ye at this? Or why look ye so earnestly on us, as though by our own powers or holiness we had made this man to walk? The God of Abraham, and of Isaac, and of Jacob, the God of our father, hath glorified his Son, Jesus. And his name, through faith in his name, hath made this man strong, whom ye see and know. Yea, the faith which is by him hath given him this perfect soundness in the presence of you all. Jeremiah. I, the Lord, search the heart. I try the reins, even to give every man according to his way, and according to the fruit of his doings. Heal me, O Lord, and I shall be healed. Save me, and I shall be saved, for thou art my praise. Exodus. And the Lord said further unto Moses, Put now thine hand into thy bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom. And when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous as snow. And he said, Put thine hand into thy bosom again. And he put his hand into his bosom again, and plucked it out of his bosom. And behold, it was turned again as his other flesh. And it shall come to pass, if they will not believe thee, neither hearken to the voice of the first sign, that they will believe the voice of the latter sign. Isaiah. They see the glory of the Lord and the excellency of our God. Strengthen ye the weak hands, and confirm the feeble knees. Say to them that are of fearful heart, Be strong, fear not. Behold, your God will come with a vengeance, even God with a recompense. He will come and save you. Then the eyes of the blind shall be opened, and the ears of the deaf shall be unstopped. Then shall the lame man leap as an hart, and the tongue of the dumb sing. For in the wilderness shall waters break out, and streams in the desert. No lion shall be there, nor any ravenous beast shall go up thereon. It shall not be found there, but the redeemed shall walk there. And the ransom of the Lord shall return, and come to Zion with songs and everlasting joy upon their heads. They shall obtain joy and gladness, and sorrow and sighing shall flee away. Psalms. Bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits, who forgiveth all thine iniquities, who healeth all thy diseases, who redeemeth thy life from destruction, who crowneth thee with loving kindness and tender mercies. John. Jesus saith unto him, Have I been so long time with you, and yet hast thou not known me, Philip? He that hath seen me hath seen the Father. And how sayest thou then, Show us the Father? Believest thou not that I am in the Father, and the Father in me? The words that I speak unto you, I speak not of myself, but the Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works. Believe me that I am in the Father, and the Father in me, or else believe me for the very work's sake. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that believeth on me, the works that I do, shall he do also. And greater works than these shall he do, because I go unto my Father. And whatsoever ye shall ask in my name, that will I do, that the Father may be glorified in the Son. If ye shall ask anything in my name, I will do it. If ye love me, keep my commandments. And I will pray the Father, and he shall give you another Comforter, that he may abide with you forever. And correlative passages from the Christian Science textbook, Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures, by Mary Baker Eddy. A book introduces new thoughts, but it cannot make them speedily understood. It is the task of the sturdy pioneer to hew the tall oak and to cut the rough granite. Future ages must declare what the pioneer has accomplished. Since the author's discovery of the might of truth in the treatment of disease as well as of sin, her system has been fully tested and has not been found wanting. But to reach the heights of Christian Science, man must live in obedience to its divine principle. To develop the full might of this science, the discords of corporeal sense must yield to the harmony of spiritual sense, even as the science of music corrects false tones and gives sweet concord to sound. The divine principle of healing is proved in the personal experiences of any sincere seeker of truth. Its purpose is good, and its practice is safer and more potent than that of any other sanitary method. The unbiased Christian thought is soonest touched by truth and convinced of it. Many imagine that the phenomena of physical healing in Christian Science present only a phase of the action of the human mind, which action, in some unexplained way, results in the cure of disease. On the contrary, Christian Science rationally explains that all other pathological methods are the fruits of human faith in matter, faith in the workings not of spirit, but of the fleshly mind, which must yield to science. The physical healings of Christian Science results now, as in Jesus' time, from the operation of divine principle, before which sin and disease lose their reality in human consciousness and disappear as naturally and as necessarily as darkness gives place to light and sin to reformation. Now, as then, these mighty works are not supernatural, but supremely natural. The prayer of faith shall save the sick, says the Scripture. What is this healing prayer? A mere request that God will heal the sick has no power to gain more of the divine presence than it is always at hand. The beneficial effect of such prayer for the sick is on the human mind, making it act more powerfully in the body through a blind faith in God. This, however, is one belief casting out another, a belief in the unknown casting out a belief in sickness. It is neither science nor truth which acts through blind belief, nor is it the human understanding of the divine healing principle, as manifested in Jesus, whose humble prayers were deep and conscientious protests of truth, of man's likeness to God, and of man's unity with truth and love. The prayer that reforms the sinner and heals the sick is an absolute faith that all things are possible to God, a spiritual understanding of Him, an unselfed love. Jesus of Nazareth taught and demonstrated man's oneness with the Father, and for this we owe Him endless homage. His mission was both individual and collective. He did life's work aright, not only in justice to Himself, but in mercy to mortals, to show them how to do theirs, but not to do it for them, nor to relieve them of a single responsibility. Jesus acted boldly against the accredited evidence of the senses, against Pharisaical creeds and practices, and He refuted all opponents with His healing power. First in the list of Christian duties, He taught His followers the healing power of truth and love. He attached no importance to dead ceremonies. It is the living Christ, the practical truth, which makes Jesus the resurrection and the life to all who follow Him indeed. Obeying His precious precepts, following His demonstration so far as we apprehend it, we drink of His cup, partake of His bread, are baptized with His purity, and at last we shall rest, sit down with Him in a full understanding of the divine principle which triumphs over death. If all who seek His commemoration through material symbols will take up the cross, heal the sick, cast out evils, and preach Christ or truth to the poor, the receptive thought, they will bring in the millennium. It is a question today whether the ancient inspired healers understood the science of Christian healing, or whether they caught its sweet tones as the natural musician catches the tones of harmony without being able to explain them. So divinely imbued were they with the spirit of science that the lack of the letter could not hinder their work, and that letter, without the Spirit, would have made void their practice. The struggle for the recovery of invalids goes on, not between material methods, but between mortal minds and immortal mind. The victory will be on the patient's side only as immortal mind, through Christ, truth, subdues the human belief in disease. It matters not what material methods one may adopt, whether faith in drugs, trust in hygiene, or reliance on some other minor curative. Scientific healing has this advantage over other methods, that in truth cancels error. From this fact arise its ethical as well as its physical effects. Indeed, its ethical and physical effects are indissolubly connected. If there is any mystery in Christian healing, it is the mystery which godliness always presents to the ungodly. The mystery always arising from ignorance of the laws of eternal and unerring mind. A spiritual idea has not a single element of error, and this truth removes properly whatever is offensive. To decide quickly as to the proper treatment of error, whether error is manifested in forms of sickness, sin, or death, is the first step towards destroying error. Our Master treated error through mind. He never enjoyed obedience to the laws of nature, if by these are meant laws of matter, nor did he use drugs. There is a law of God applicable to healing, and it is a spiritual law instead of material. It is possible, yea, it is the duty and privilege of every child, man, and woman to follow, in some degree, the example of the Master by the demonstration of truth and love, of health and holiness. Christians claim to be his followers, but do they follow him in the way that he commanded? Hear these imperative commands. Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect. Go ye into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature. Heal the sick. Jesus said, these signs shall follow them that believe. They shall lay hands on the sick, and they shall recover. Who believes him? He was addressing his disciples, yet he did not say, these signs shall follow you, but them that believe, in all time to come. Here the word hands is used metaphorically, as in the text, the right hand of the Lord is exalted. It expresses spiritual power. Otherwise, the healing could not have been done spiritually. Jesus mapped out the path for others. He unveiled the Christ, the spiritual idea of divine love. To those buried in the belief of sin and self, living only for pleasure or for gratification of the senses, he said in substance, having eyes ye see not, and having ears ye hear not, lest ye should understand and be converted, and I might heal you. He taught that the material senses shut out truth and its healing power. Now, cried the apostle, is the accepted time. Behold, now is the day of salvation. Meaning, not that now men must prepare for a future world salvation or safety, but that now is the time in which to experience that salvation in spirit and in life. Now is the time for so-called material pains and material pleasures to pass away, for both are unreal, because impossible in science. To break this earthly spell, mortals must get the true idea and divine principle of all that really exists and governs the universe harmoniously. The man of sorrows best understood the nothingness of material life and intelligence, and the mighty actuality of all-inclusive God, good. These were the two cardinal points of mind healing, or Christian Science, which armed him with love. The highest earthly representative of God, speaking of human ability to reflect divine power, prophetically said to his disciples, speaking not for their day only, but for all time, "He that believeth on me, the works that I do, shall he do also." Let us have a few moments of silent prayer, to be followed by the audible repetition of the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Let's unite in singing hymn number 109. Hear, O God, thy healing presence lifts our thoughts from self and sin, fills with light their hidden places when thy love is welcomed in. Hear thy tender, sweet persuasions, turn us home to heavenly ways, while our hearts, unsealed, adoring, pour the fragrance of thy praise. Hymn number 109. The members of this church extend a warm welcome to those in the congregation who are visiting us this evening, and a warm welcome to all those visiting us on Zoom. If you would like more information about Christian Science, please ask one of the ushers. This church is a branch of the Mother Church, the First Church of Christ Scientists in Boston, Massachusetts. The Bible lesson sermon read here and in Christian Science churches throughout the world on Sunday morning help individuals to meet their needs with divine truth. Our Sunday service and Sunday school begins at 10 a.m. In our Sunday school, children and teenagers learn that God is love, a tangible help in their lives. Child care is also available. In our reading room, a quiet sanctuary in this building, you may study, borrow, or purchase the Bible, the Christian Science textbook, the Christian Science Monitor, an international newspaper, and other Christian Science literature. The reading room is open for a half hour prior to each Wednesday service and a half hour following each Sunday service. Everyone's invited to attend our services, use the reading room, and bring your children to Sunday school. This meeting is now open to you to share testimonies of healing and remarks on Christian Science. Please, if you are following us on Zoom, remember to unmute yourself before speaking. Thank you all for your testimonies and for being here. Let us close tonight's service with the singing of hymn number 96. He stood of old, the holy Christ, amid the suffering throng, with whom his lightest touch sufficed to make the weakest strong. That healing gift God gives to them who use it in his name. The power that filled the garment's hem is evermore the same. Hymn number 96.